So for the last 3 years, I've had a client pay me well over 50k without doing any outreach to land them and without ever jumping on a phone call. Here's exactly how that's happened, and here are the key lessons that I've learned. So the first key part of this story is, how did I land the client without doing any outreach? Simply put, they came inbound to me internally through my Upwork presence. Now, for those of you that know me and watch my stuff, you know that I got my start on Upwork.com. I built a freelance profile. I started freelancing. That's how I started my journey into SMMA and actually building a marketing agency. Over the last few years, I've got some good results through there. I've built up some earnings. I built up a profile of fantastic reviews, a top rated badge, 100% job success score, and all of the above. Now, because I've done that, what tends to happen is a lot of people who are actively looking for freelancers, agencies, contractors on that platform, they can actually invite people to their jobs. So a lot of people see Upwork as a way where you can use the platform to apply to jobs, but not many people know that actually you can get, once you've had a built up profile, a lot of inbound invites from companies who look at your profile and say, I like the look of that person, I want to work with them, let me invite them. So this is a situation where that's happened. The key lesson to this really is, and this isn't a short-term way to get customers, this isn't a short-term way to scale, but long-term, make sure you focus heavily on building presence. Now, that doesn't have to just be on Upwork. That could be a social media presence, a YouTube presence, a presence on LinkedIn, but make sure you are building presence, because as you do that over the long term, you're going to get far more internal invites. Okay, so this is one of those situations. They came directly to me, they loved my profile, they saw my results, and because of that, they were confident to use me without speaking to many other freelancers. Now, how was a company, now they come to me, why did they not even want to jump on a phone call? The context to this is they were a massive company. Now, unfortunately, I can't say their name. They're quite a niche company, but they do well over 30 million per year in revenue, so they're a very substantial size business. And because of this, they've got a lot of moving parts. And I think there's certain people put in certain positions within the company whose job it is to allocate budget out. Where can they save money in the US, especially for a company that size? Salaries can get quite substantial. So even though they're paying a decent amount of money every month on a retainer, in comparison to an actual salary and a full-time job, having somebody sit in-house and do that role, the fee that they're paying is actually relatively affordable. We speak about money, we speak about $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. That may seem expensive maybe when you're just starting out or if you work a normal job, but the context to that is $2,000 a month when you're this massive 30 million a year company is probably no different to £20 to somebody like yourself and myself, right? So you just have to consider when they're making decisions, whilst it may seem like a no-brainer for us to want to jump on a phone call with somebody, have a discussion before we part with 1, 2, 3k a month. For some of these bigger companies, if you've just got that trust, if you've got a built-up profile, you've got results to show people, they can come straight to you with the confidence knowing that you're the right person for the job. And that's exactly what happened. We had a few back and forth messages on Upwork. We were chatting back and forth. I pushed for a call. The guy said, unfortunately, I'm really busy I don't have time for a call right now, but here's exactly what you're looking for. Can you do it? I was like, yeah, I can do all of that stuff. And as simple as that, the client was landed. So the second lesson here really is you want to focus on landing big companies as clients. And look, I'm aware this is going to take you a while. You might not land a client immediately. You're not going to land Apple as your first ever client in your agency. It's just not going to happen. However, over time, really focus on increasing the caliber of client that you take on. Because think about it, this is a client I've had for 3 years. They are literally the most low maintenance client I've ever had in my life. We're probably coming up close to 4 years, I think, working together in September. You got to think about it. 4 years working with a client, super low maintenance, never jumped on a call to land them, complete trust. They completely leave us to it. And it's all because of the size of the company. They've got so many moving parts. The retainer is so small for them that they're just happy to leave you to it. Focus on getting big customers, because not only are they going to be able to afford to pay you higher retainers, but the retention is going to be better because you're more likely to get them results. They've got a bigger bank account, which means they've got no problem paying you the fee that you deserve and questioning that fee every single month. So really focus on getting bigger customers at scale. So the third key part of this story as well, obviously they are a great client, but we have to look at ourselves here as why this client has stayed so long. And another key lesson is we've just done a really good job. They've given us expectation. They've given us a brief exactly of what they expect. They've given us the KPIs, and we've gone there, and every single month over the last X amount of years, we've smashed those KPIs. We've hit expectation, and we've done exactly what they pay us to do. So it's one of those things, it's like you don't need to micromanage somebody if that person is doing exactly what you pay them to do. You don't need to micromanage somebody who's doing it better than they can do it themselves. The key thing here is if you have a client, make sure you set proper expectations and then deliver, or if possible, massively over deliver on those expectations, because if you constantly do exactly what they want or above, then they're going to be super low maintenance. If you've got these kind of low maintenance clients, this client now takes so little time to maintain and manage. And in our business, I'm paying salaries. It's money, okay? Like every hour that somebody's spending on one account is time they can't be spending on another, which means the amount that they can bill as an employee is going to be less. So, time is money in that regard. So if you've got a client that's super low maintenance, meetings, you're smashing your job, you're really good at it, you understand the client, you don't have to constantly learn, take on new clients, do new setups, do this, try and learn the business, all this back and forth comms. If you can get a client, keep them, you're going to be way better off in the long term. So the third key thing here is do a great job, deliver on the KPI, and just set all the expectations out in this first discovery call or in the first message, whatever it may be, to get aligned as exactly what they're looking for, and then just deliver on that, and I promise you, your life's going to be way less stressful. And look, there's a final funny part to this story, which also leads to the final lesson I've got in this video. Really interesting. I actually went in with a price. Unfortunately, the retainer's been cut down a little bit now since the pandemic, but when we first started out, they were actually paying me $3,000 per month. Now, what's really interesting about this client is I actually went in at about $2,000 a month. Somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 a month was the fee that I initially went in and priced them at. Now, this is single-handedly the only time I've ever had a client come to me and say, oh, no, our budget's bigger than that, we'll pay you more. Really interesting scenario. They came to me and said, look, our budget for this is actually $3,000 per month. You seem like a great fit. We want you to be motivated. Here's the full 3K. And again, that's because somebody works at a company that project manager's been given a 3K budget to spend, and they're happy to just spend it all. Super trusting, considering he never spoke to me, obviously, and just looked at my results. But the key lesson to this is, if you think a price, always price a little bit higher than that, because you can negotiate down, you can't negotiate up. If I price it 2.5K, he said, yeah, happy with 2.5K. I can't then go, actually, sorry, no, let's actually do 3K. You just can't do that. You can never negotiate up. You can always negotiate down, and you also get an added benefit of what's called anchoring, which is, if I was to say to you right now, you can have this laptop for £1,000, usually sells for 800, you're going to be like, what? Or even, you can have this laptop now, it's £1,000, it usually sells for £1,100. If I said to you though, instead, you can actually have this laptop for £1,000, it usually sells for £3,000, you'd just be like, well, how can I pay? And it's such an interesting thing. It's like, if you anchor that initial price higher and then negotiate down, people feel like they're getting more for their value because the perceived initial value is higher from what you use as your anchor price. A couple of added benefits there, but the key lesson is really always price more than you think you can price, because you can negotiate down, you can't negotiate up. Okay, so there we have it. If you're interested in any high-level training, all of my training programs, mentorship are down in the description down below. Be sure to check this video out here as well. It's exactly how I added 10K a month to my agency in only 5 days. And be sure to click here to subscribe for more videos exactly like this.